The year is 1348, a village in southern England. The plague has arrived. Word came 3 days ago from the neighbouring parish. Already, 2 families have fallen ill. The priest has begun last rites that he knows he will repeat dozens of times before the month ends. There is no cure, no vaccine, no hospital waiting to receive the sick, no government agency coordinating response. Death will move through this village with absolute indifference, taking whoever it chooses. A woman prepares food for her children. Her husband has walked to the next village to help his brother's family prepare their dead for burial. She knows he may bring the sickness back with him. She knows her children may be dead within the week. She knows she may follow them. And yet, she is not paralyzed. She is not spiraling into panic. She moves through her tasks with the same steady rhythm she has maintained every day of her adult life. There is water to carry, bread to bake, animals to tend, children to feed. The danger is real. The fear is present, but it does not consume her. By every measure, her life was harder than yours, more dangerous, more uncertain, more saturated with genuine threats to survival. And yet her nervous system was almost certainly calmer than yours is right now. Welcome to the Medieval Advantage. I'm glad you're here. On this channel, we examine what modern life has quietly abandoned. Not to romanticize the past, but to understand what we may have lost without realizing it. Today we're exploring one of the most counterintuitive patterns in human psychology. Why did people who lived with constant mortal danger often experience less psychological distress than people who live in the safest, most comfortable conditions in human history? Consider the modern paradox. We have eliminated most of the threats that terrorized our ancestors. Famine is rare in developed nations. Plague is manageable. Infant mortality has plummeted. Violence has declined dramatically over centuries. We live longer, eat better, and have access to medical care that would seem miraculous to anyone born before 1900. We should be the calmest, most psychologically secure humans who have ever lived. Instead, anxiety disorders affect hundreds of millions worldwide. Depression rates climb steadily. Burnout has become so common, we treat it as normal. Sleep disorders plague populations with unprecedented access to comfort and safety. Suicide rates rise in the wealthiest, most secure nations on Earth. Something is deeply wrong. We are safer than any generation before us, and we are falling apart psychologically in ways those generations rarely experienced. The easy explanation is that we simply notice mental illness more now. We diagnose what went unnamed before. Medieval people suffered just as much. They simply didn't have the vocabulary to describe it. This explanation contains some truth, but it doesn't account for the scale of the difference. It doesn't explain why biological markers of chronic stress, cortisol levels, inflammatory markers, cardiovascular indicators, appear elevated across modern populations in ways that correlate with genuine physiological distress. Something real has changed? To understand what, we have to stop asking how much stress people experienced. We have to start asking what kind. Medieval stress and modern stress are fundamentally different phenomena. Medieval stress was acute. It arrived suddenly, demanded response, and then ended. A storm threatened the harvest. You worked desperately to save what you could. The storm passed. The danger resolved. Your body returned to baseline. An illness struck your child. You applied what remedies you knew. You prayed, you waited. The child recovered or died. Either way, the acute crisis ended. Your nervous system completed its stress cycle. A conflict erupted with a neighbour. Words were exchanged, perhaps blows. The community intervened, mediated, or took sides. Resolution came, imperfect, perhaps unjust, but definite. The uncertainty ended. This is how human stress biology evolved to function. Threat appears, body mobilizes, action is taken, threat resolves, body recovers, the cycle completes. Modern stress operates on completely different principles. The email arrives at 9 p.m. suggesting problems with tomorrow's meeting. Your body mobilizes, but there is no action to take right now. The meeting is tomorrow. The threat is abstract. You lie in bed, cortisol elevated, running scenarios that may never occur. Financial pressure builds gradually. There is no single moment of crisis, no clear enemy, no decisive action that will end the threat. The pressure simply continues, month after month, year after year. Your body remains mobilized against a danger that never fully arrives and never fully resolves. Social comparison operates constantly through devices in your pocket. Someone is always doing better. Someone is always achieving what you haven't. The threat to status is perpetual, ambient, inescapable. There is no moment when you have definitively succeeded, no signal that the competition has ended. Your nervous system treats all of this as emergency, but the emergency never ends. This is the critical distinction we fail to recognize. Medieval people faced more acute danger. Their individual stress events were often more severe than anything we experience, but those events ended. Modern people face less acute danger. Our individual stresses seem trivial compared to plague or famine, but they never stop. The human body can survive tremendous acute stress. It evolved for exactly this purpose: massive mobilization in the face of immediate threat, followed by complete recovery. The human body cannot survive perpetual, low-grade emergency. It was never designed for threats that persist indefinitely without resolution. We have not reduced stress. We have transformed it from something survivable into something that slowly destroys. There is another dimension to this that matters enormously: expectation. Medieval people expected hardship, not because they were pessimistic or fatalistic, but because hardship was simply the normal condition of existence. Cold in winter was expected. Hunger during lean months was expected. Illness was expected. Death of children was tragically common and, while devastating, not shocking. Physical discomfort was the background condition of daily life. This expectation changed how the body interpreted difficulty. When discomfort is expected, its arrival does not trigger alarm. The nervous system responds proportionally rather than catastrophically. Stress remains situational rather than becoming existential. Modern people expect comfort. We've constructed lives where temperature is always controlled, food is always available, pain is always medicated, and inconvenience is always minimized. This feels like progress. In many ways, it is, but it creates a dangerous psychological pattern. When you expect comfort, discomfort feels like emergency. When you expect ease, difficulty feels like failure. When you expect life to be smooth, every friction becomes a crisis requiring immediate response. The medieval woman facing plague did not experience her situation as a violation of how life should be. She experienced it as life being life, brutal, uncertain, but familiar in its brutality. Modern people experience minor inconveniences as violations. Traffic jams trigger rage. Slow internet connections cause genuine distress. Minor social rejections spiral into existential questioning. Our stress response activates not in proportion to actual danger, but in proportion to how much reality deviates from expectation. Medieval expectations were calibrated to reality. Modern expectations are calibrated to fantasy. The gap between the two determines how much we suffer. Community shaped medieval stress in ways we have almost entirely lost. When the plague arrived, the entire village faced it together. Fear was shared, labour was shared, grief was shared. No one suffered alone. No one pretended everything was fine while silently falling apart. Stress was visible. It existed in the open, acknowledged by everyone, addressed through collective action and mutual support. When the harvest threatened to fail, the entire community worked together. When a family lost their provider, neighbours absorbed the orphans. When danger came, it came for everyone, and everyone responded together. This shared burden reduced individual psychological load in ways that are difficult to quantify but impossible to ignore. Modern stress is private. We suffer behind closed doors. We perform wellness while internally collapsing. We scroll through curated images of other people's apparent success while hiding our own struggles. The burden falls entirely on individual nervous systems, never designed to carry such weight alone. Medieval people had less control over their circumstances, but more clarity about their place in the world. They knew their role, they knew their community, they knew what was expected of them and what they could expect from others. The future was uncertain, but the framework of meaning was stable. Purpose was embedded in daily life. Work connected directly to survival. Relationships were necessary, not optional. Every action fit within a larger pattern that made sense, even when that pattern included suffering. Modern people have unprecedented control. We choose careers, locations, relationships, identities. We optimize and adjust and customize endlessly. But this control has not produced clarity. It has produced paralysis. When everything is possible, nothing is certain. When all paths are open, no path feels right. When identity itself becomes a project to be managed, the self becomes another source of stress rather than a refuge from it. Effort no longer connects clearly to outcome. We work without knowing if our work matters. We strive without knowing what we're striving toward. We achieve goals that fail to satisfy, then set new goals, hoping the next achievement will finally feel like enough. This uncertainty, not about survival, but about meaning, creates stress that no amount of safety can resolve. Perhaps the most important difference is simply this. Medieval people knew when danger had passed. The storm ended, the siege lifted, the illness resolved, the harvest came in. Whatever the crisis, it reached conclusion. The body could finally stand down, release its mobilization, return to baseline. This completion is essential to stress biology. The nervous system is designed to cycle through activation and recovery. Stress hormones rise to meet threat, then fall when threat resolves. Muscles tense for action, then relax when action ends. The entire system depends on resolution to maintain health. Modern danger never clearly ends. The work email stops, but another will arrive tomorrow. The financial pressure eases briefly, then returns. The social comparison pauses when you put down your phone, then resumes the moment you pick it up again. There is no signal that tells your body the emergency is over. So cortisol remains elevated, muscles remain tensed. The nervous system remains in perpetual low-grade activation, waiting for resolution that never comes. We live in a permanent state of almost emergency, not acute enough to demand decisive action, not resolved enough to permit genuine rest, just constant, ambient, unending activation that slowly degrades every system in the body. Let me be clear about what this is not. This is not an argument that medieval people were tougher than us. They were not. They were the same humans with the same biology, the same needs, the same vulnerabilities. This is not romanticizing suffering. Medieval life was brutal. The plague killed millions. Famines destroyed entire regions. The suffering was real and should not be minimized. This is not an argument against medicine, technology, or modern comfort. These advances have reduced genuine suffering immeasurably. They represent real progress that should be celebrated. This is about alignment. Medieval life, for all its brutality, aligned with human stress biology in ways modern life does not. Their dangers were the kind our bodies evolved to handle. Ours are not. The uncomfortable realization is simple. We didn't remove stress from life, we removed its boundaries. We created systems that generate constant anticipation, constant vigilance, constant readiness for threats that never fully materialize and never fully resolve. We reward those who remain perpetually activated and punish those who attempt genuine rest. We call it productivity. We call it ambition. We call it success. We call it normal, while our bodies slowly break under pressure. They were never designed to sustain. Let's return to that village. In 1348, the plague will pass. Many will die, but some will survive. And those who survive will grieve, rebuild, and continue. The danger will end. The bodies will be buried. Life will resume its rhythm. The woman preparing food for her children faces genuine horror, but she also faces something we have lost: resolution, completion, the knowledge that even the worst crisis eventually ends. What stress in your life actually resolves? What stress exists only because it never ends? What would it mean to let your body return to baseline again? On this channel, we don't look to the past to escape the present, but to understand what the present quietly broke. Thank you for watching this video. I genuinely appreciate you taking the time to think through these uncomfortable questions with me. If this exploration has shifted how you understand stress, expectations, and what we may have lost, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Medieval Advantage channel. Your support allows us to continue examining what modern life has buried. In the next video, we'll explore another forgotten system: how medieval communities created resilience through structures we've almost entirely abandoned, and what their solutions reveal about our modern fragility. I'll see you in the next one.